We're recording.
As always, that's
there
how
we
we start.
go.
That's the most important noise right there. I may have had a few actual beers before this, so we'll see how this show goes today.
Is there nitrogen in that seltzer? You have nitrogen?
No, this is a regular LaCroix. This is
what?
It's a nice bright pink can just to show that I'm an alpha male is what that is.
Oh, drinking sparkling flavored water.
Yeah,
alpha male.
That does absolutely. It's because it's out of a bright. The gayer the color, the more alpha you are, and that's bright.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. It's like Jack did with the pink shirt, right?
Yeah, exactly. You're not gonna tell him. You're not gonna tell him a queer. Okay, he will beat you up.
Okay.
All right, welcome to Nosebleeders, everybody. That's how we're starting this week, I guess.
We are.
I love Mike. You know what, Mike? I gotta say this, man. I know we're gonna have fun tonight. I know we're gonna have fun because we have a guest on, and we always have fun with our guests.
We do,
but especially this one. This Faisal, good buddy of mine, who apparently is going by the name of Cybercuck.
My real name is in the handle below. So.
Yeah, well, we can call you Cybercuck or Cuck for short if you want during the whole episode. I mean, that would not. Okay, I don't really mind either way. But yeah, this man is somebody we're going to be bringing in every now and then because as you know on the show, Mike and I know a good bit about sports. But we're also idiots at the same time. So sometimes we like to bring on somebody who knows what they're talking about more than us for a specific thing. Mm-hmm. And of course, it's NFL preseason right now, getting ready for football season. And so I wanted to bring this gentleman on because he has what has been described as an autistic knowledge of NFL statistics.
I don't understand why. I'm just not an idiot like my friends, like it's not like I'm on the tier of like some NFL journalist like Mina Kimes, right? Or like an NFL player. It just, my friends are stupid and lazy and bad at math. That's all there is to it. So, and it's crazy because like, it's so weird. People hate on statistics in sports, including this happened early with the sabermetric revolution in baseball. I feel like, right, where everyone's like, "Oh, these nerds are ruining baseball," and it's like you guys obsess over stats. Like, it's like you're all jerking off to home runs. Like, are you kidding me? Like, baseball is all about numbers. It's not the only thing. But
as a baseball guy, I will say that football and basketball are a decade behind baseball in terms of number crunching and just understanding like the nuanced statistics. But I will say that baseball is a decade behind them in terms of marketing. So it evens out.
Yeah. And I think it's also the nature of the sports, right? Where like, there's a lot of chaos that goes into plays and there's so many moving parts on any given play in football or hockey or soccer, right? That it's just like, how do you even make those things tangible, right? Like, how do you quantify a lot of the stuff that's going on with baseball, right? It's a lot of waiting, picking a pitch, right? And then the batter taking signs and then going for it. And then there's also matchups and like, it definitely has that chess-like pacing where I think it was just easier, especially when things were less advanced, for baseball to be the first kind of guinea pig relative to other sports in the sabermetric revolution. It's like, in football, it's tricky. It's like, I think we've done better at it, right? Pro Football Focus does such a great job of like quantifying what a good lineman is, right? But did anyone really know 15, 20 years ago? Like any one of us were just talking out of our ass, right? And like, so I don't want to call myself an expert, right? There are so many smart and capable people, on the internet, like doing this in-depth analysis to understand it. I'm just less lazy than the average fan, right? Who just buys into a narrative. That's how I see it, right?
Yeah.
But like, just to be clear, it's not like I coached football or played it or like I'm making a living off of it. I just,
you're much too racist for all of those things.
Yeah. They can't handle me, the Philly Eagles fans, right? So I make them.
Well, in their case, you're not racist enough for them,
right? Yeah, or Boston.
So speaking of NFL teams like the Eagles, I don't know if you have any Eagles storylines, but I know you had a couple of storylines prepared for us that you wanted to talk about going into the season. You also had a prediction spreadsheet, which I was very impressed with that I looked at yesterday.
And I've been changing it repeatedly. I didn't have any storylines prepared. I was just asking you guys if you wanted me to have anything prepared because it's been a pretty crazy preseason, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I mean, just like this weekend alone, right? With the Giants preseason game with Danny Dimes being back in the fold and like Look, it's preseason. It's meaningless. Like we've seen the Lions go 4-0 in the preseason, then go 0-16, right?
Yes.
So like you could say the reverse or inverse is true, whatever the right term is.
Right.
But Danny Dimes is like a 6-year veteran, right? Getting paid an obscene amount of money. And look, they've improved the line, but does anyone think that's like even a top half of an offensive line by any metric? Like,
no,
he's just
we're both Giants fans and we don't think they are. And also,
no.
He has no guaranteed money after this year. So this is the last year I'm going to have to every Sunday evening come on and do this show and see Mike pulling his fucking hair out over the fact that this man will not throw the ball forwards down the field.
No, that's exactly
the last year for this, Mike. 17 more weeks, buddy. I got you.
Yeah.
All right.
And doesn't Malik Neighbors have an ankle injury too? Like already?
He hurt himself, but he played the last game and made that crazy catch. So maybe they just, what do? They spray it and they numb it, and then after the game, the pain will come back. Whatever they do.
Yeah,
or his own
risk his long-term health, for a team that's going nowhere. But and it's not because I'm a Jets fan. I just don't know how anyone could be optimistic as a Giants fan. I'm rooting for the Giants. I only hate them once every 4 years. So that's
one thing about, I think, with football specifically, I feel like Jets and Giants fans, there's not that animosity that there is with like Mets and Yankees.
It's like, not to that level, but there is shit talking. Like
there's shit talking, but like if I'm at a bar and I see a group of Jets fans rooting, like if I go into a bar for like a Giants 4:00 game and the Jets are on at the end of their 1:00 game, I'm not gonna like boo if they win. I'm just gonna be like, oh, good for you guys, you won. Like, let's have a beer. Like, there's not that like fuck you, you're actively invading my space sort of culture there is with other sports.
And I mean, I think there's a reason for that, and it's the fact. Look, in football, playing once every 4 years. Structurally, it's just hard to hate someone, and because it's a different team in 4 years anyway. With baseball, especially with interleague play, but I think more importantly, 2000, that it wasn't just the World Series, but the build up to it. There was a lot of animosity building up. Like the Mets were suddenly relevant, and like the Yankees, they were the game to beat, right? Like they were the champs, and I think that accelerated like that rivalry. And then, the teams playing 6 times a year, it gives that degree of exposure, that it just, even though the games are less meaningful, like, than the NFL, right? Like one team could suck and sweep the other team, in both series, and then who cares, right? There's still 156 games. So it's kind of funny. There's less gravity per game or even the whole series, but.
Oh, like this year.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, the Mets won all 4 against the Yankees, but then they lost like a ton of games right after that, and it just doesn't matter.
It's a long season to get over. The Jets and the Giants. The Jets, I mean, they haven't been good ever.
So let's get to. I want to get to Faisal's predictions. Mike, can you throw it up on the screen? And
I changed those predictions, so
I didn't put them up because he changed them.
Yeah. Can I share my screen?
I think
can you?
Let's see. I could present, I think. And again, this is going to look so different in 2 weeks.
Make sure the.
This is what I think is insane. Is I was called autistic because all I did was pick wins for each individual team. And that took me like 20 minutes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this tab over here.
Yeah, take the gay porn off your screen and then put that on the other screen so we don't.
Well, it's just so I can see you guys while I'm looking at this thing here. So. Let's see what I had going on here. Oh, that's the wrong one. That's last year's because.
So this is a constantly evolving prediction.
Yeah. All I did was just put this together like while having lunch. I was like, oh, it's that time again. Let's see where it is. And like, I've only won a pick'em league like twice. And one year, the 1 year I won the first time I won it, I basically it was just an office league, so it was only like a dozen people. So there's a higher likelihood of winning. But the big one, I won like a shitload of money 1 year. I did all my picks in the preseason because I always forget to do my picks like every week. So I was like, I just did them in the preseason, then totally forgot that I did them in the preseason. And I just assumed I was out. And then it was the end of the regular season and it was spilling over into the playoffs that year.
You're like, oh, here's some money.
And someone was like, yeah, you're still in. There's like 60 left. So it went down to the Super Bowl and I managed to win. I want to say it was the year the Packers won the Super Bowl. So
that was a while back.
Yeah, I was like really big on Aaron Rodgers early on.
I want to see your updated predictions because there's a couple things that jumped out of me that I wanted to comment on.
Yeah, is it letting you share your screen? Are you able to
can you not see? Let me present again. Yeah, because I shared the wrong screen. That's what happened.
I don't see anything.
Yeah, I got to reshare because I shared the wrong tab. Yeah. So you should be able to see it now. And I'm going to cut this to the actual.
Nope.
I'll do standings and let's do by division if we can. Is there a way to?
We're not seeing anything.
Yeah, we're not seeing anything on our screen. No.
All right.
Wait a minute.
Oh, wait.
Oh, here's why. This might be. Wait, can you see it now?
No, I just see Mike really big. Now I see us equal again.
Okay.
No, it's not letting me guess layout.
Is there a way to make him like the host or something? I don't use this technology.
No, I can share a screen, but I can't. Modern technology.
It might be just because whatever security settings I have on here. I have and I just don't know how to work around it. Like there's usually a pop up for this shit, but
I don't see like.
Look, I think it's just easier to just kind of run through who I'm high on and who I'm not. I think it's better for me to rattle off the division winners because I'm gonna look at this. This already looks wildly different. But there are things that have been consistent, right? Like, I feel like I'll just go with my Super Bowl pick. I think this is Chiefs Lions Super Bowl. I think these
really.
Yeah, I think the Lions actually match up pretty well against the Chiefs, but the way I see it is like the Chiefs have a pretty weak division, especially with Justin Herbert having that plantar fasciitis injury. The Chargers suck. Like they've lost a lot of their supporting cast, right? They lost their receivers. The defense not looking too great. Like the rebuild, they weren't able to do too much on rebuilding, so I don't know how much of a difference Harbaugh makes. But like it's the Chiefs to lose, and it's like the Raiders suck. Gardner Minshew is their starter, right? Like it was a contest between him and Aiden O'Connell. And look, Minshew is an excellent meme of a quarterback, but he's a journeyman, right? He's not winning games he can do some cool stuff, but like the Raiders aren't that impressive. Wouldn't be surprised if they traded out Devontae Adams halfway through the year when things go tits up. The Broncos are also like they're still on the hook for a bunch of money for Russell Wilson, right? So we'll see how Bo Nix develops. I think it really depends on, and it seems like some people are high on him, but like, we shall see, so it just like, does anyone think that like the Chiefs could easily run this division 6-0, right? I mean, at the very least, I think they're going at least 4-2 in the division, and it's still enough for them to win, right? And they still have some pretty tough competition. I think it's theirs to lose. Now, whether they win the conference is a different story.
Right.
There are some red flags that, last year their offense really wasn't good in the regular season at all. And then Mahomes just kind of lifted them up in the postseason, right? The receivers were dropping balls. Yeah. Like because of drops, they easily lost the Lions game, right? Like that easily could have gone their way. They were, I forget who the big dropper was on that. I think it was their number 2 guy. I don't think it was Rashee Rice, but they had a big drop in week 1, and that cost them against the Lions, and that was a game they could have won. And they did some work in the offseason, right? They added a free agent signing with Hollywood Brown, who has a shoulder injury now. I'm forgetting names right now, but and then they drafted a guy they traded up for with the Bills, and he's supposed to be a pretty good deep threat. So we shall see how this plays out.
Staying in the AFC. Let's move over to your team's division there. Let's see. How do you think the Bills and Jets and all them stack up this year?
I think the Pats are looking pretty bad. I feel really bad.
No, you never should.
Yeah, for their quarterback, not the rest of that organization. But I don't. What is it that they did this offseason besides get a quarterback that's supposed to excite people, right? Like Brandon Ayuk refused to get traded there, even though he was being offered the money that he wanted, and I think that kind of says everything. So I wouldn't have a high hopes. That offensive line is still in shambles, right? And the defense will probably still be good, right? But this is a very much an offensive league, and their division. It's like, look, the Jets could implode. The Dolphins are really better at home and in good weather rather than in cold weather on the road. Right. So, but does anyone? They can does anyone think the Pats are favorites in any of their games in the division? Maybe against the Jets early in the season because of the schedule. And I actually did pick the Pats to win week 3, just because the Pats, like, they go to the 49ers. They have another, then they go to, they play Tennessee, they go to Tennessee, and then they come home on a short schedule to face New England. And that's kind of a hike, And, with an aging Rodgers, he's not playing in the preseason. They could be very rusty in a weird situation where they're, 1-1, against a Pats team that might be more prepared than they are, So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that they steal one, right? It's never a sure thing. But my favorites are still, oddly enough, the Jets. I think they just have, after like a weird kind of schedule, they have a pretty favorable schedule. They beat the Bills in week 1 after losing Rodgers at home. There's no reason they can't split games with the Bills and Dolphins at home.
It's worth mentioning also, speaking of the strength of schedule, last year's strength of schedule for them was ridiculous. They had a very difficult schedule last year. This one's a little bit easier, and they do have Rodgers back. Now, what did you have them at for wins? Did you have them at
12,
13, 12
I think
wins?
It's not crazy.
Really?
It's optimistic. The assumptions I put in this is that everyone on paper who's healthy right now is going to stay healthy, and that's just not how football works. Right. And so these things are kind of meaningless because you don't know how injuries are going to play out. A team loses their quarterback, and that just severely impacts them for the rest of the year. Some have been able to pull it off, right? I mean, the Eagles notably won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles, right? So, having a good backup has more value than ever before. And I think the Jets did a good job by, I think they got Tyrod Taylor. Is that? Yeah. They got Tyrod Taylor as their backup, right? And that was a big problem last year. It's
he's a serviceable backup. He is.
Yeah, he's good enough to not lose you games. And same thing with Rodgers. Like, Rodgers doesn't have to be his vintage self. He just has to be like a middling quarterback. Yeah, Jets won 7 games in spite of Zach Wilson, right? And, in spite of the fact that offensive line also got destroyed. The line should be better on paper. They drafted for depth, so they have some depth at tackle. But again, if all things healthy, the Jets are a 12-win team. I don't think that's crazy. I think actually I was looking at DraftKings odds, and I know I'm not fucking crazy. But if you look at their odds for players, let's see what they have the Jets at. They have the Jets over under 10.5 games. So I'm not being overly optimistic. You know,
it's pretty common when people are picking them.
Yeah, it's not being a fanboy. But look, I think what's working in the Jets' favor too is that the Bills got substantially worse, and they just lost their best linebacker. The Bills are a good team, and as long as they have Josh Allen, they have a puncher's chance of winning any game, just because of how incredibly talented he is. But he is a high risk, high reward type of quarterback, unless they decide to be more running focused this year, right? The dude does incredible things, but can also just throw a bunch of picks and but he's awesome, right? He's just exciting to watch, and it's that's what you get with that dude. And the Finns, look, I just felt like they got exposed towards the end of the year. They stumbled, and that's a nice way of putting it. And I felt like they were against good teams. They're just, I didn't think they were doing that great, especially as the weather seemed to get colder and on the road.
Oh, we all saw that game in Kansas City in the playoffs when it was negative 10 degrees, and they got the shit kicked out of them. I mean, that was the whole thing. I think the weather is a really good point for that. So moving along, so you did the East and the West. Now, what do you got in the North and South for the AFC? Let's stay in the AFC. We'll knock those out, and then we'll go.
It's health again. Why shouldn't the Bengals win this if Joe Burrow plays a healthy season? But he, the
Ravens are good, man. I mean, you're going to bet against Lamar?
They lost their defensive coordinator. They did lose one of their tackles who went to the Jets, I believe. There were some. They lost some people this year, right? They did add what's his face, the giant running back. Well, I can't believe how bad I'm with names on a podcast for a supposed expert. But who's the monster running back that was on the Titans?
What's the guy?
He was on the Titans. He's the massive dude who just kind of runs through everyone.
He's the really jacked guy who plays in the NFL with the muscles and the numbers.
No, he's I don't know. I'll find out right now. I don't know why I'm being so bad with this.
The Ravens are always they're in it, and then they're not.
Derrick Henry. Why did I forget that dude's name? You can't miss that dude. No, Derrick Henry. They got Henry, but I think Henry's 30 now. And it just. I'm not. I think they're going to take a step back. I mean, you still got to give respect to Lamar Jackson. He is the reigning MVP, but they also played a season where Burrow was unhealthy. Like he still had the calf injury when he was playing bad in the beginning of the year,
right?
And then he had that crazy wrist injury. But I think the Bengals stack up. But look, this division's a meat grinder. Like the Browns and Steelers might have quarterback problems, but like this division always seems to beat the living shit out of each other, and it seems like a very violent division. Like I have the Ravens going to the playoffs. I just have the Bengals, edging them out. Yeah. But again, this is all on paper and it's on Burrow's health. When Burrow's healthy, he's the second best quarterback in football, and this is increasingly a quarterback league. And I'm also assuming Jamar Chase's contract situation gets resolved as well. Right. So there is that holdout, but like, having Burrow and then having someone like Chase that defenses have to work around, it opens up the rest. It opens up the running game. It opens up T. Higgins. They're a scary team to play against. And outside of division, it's like who's kicking their asses outside of the AFC North. I put them more in like that top tier team. They've proven that they could beat the Chiefs in Kansas City. They've proven they can beat the Chiefs in the playoffs, right? Like they're the one team that's proven it, right? No one else has. Like the Ravens. Could not do it. The Bills could not do it. And just like, I think the Bengals are stacked, and I think this might be their last opportunity because they have these contract situations coming up with their wide receivers. And so, I think they're a legit Super Bowl contender, and I'm putting them at top, but like the Ravens are probably going to make the playoffs too. This is the deepest division in my opinion, in the AFC, and the AFC stacked. I think the AFC's pretty good. Other than the Chiefs division, which just seems like a dumpster fire. Because
speaking of dumpster fire division,
good, but I don't think they're amazing. Like I don't think the East compares to the North. And then you have the South, which is up and coming, and we'll jump over there.
I wanted to ask about that. Do you think
the Texans have a lot of hype? I think the Jaguars were 8-3 before before the Prince got hurt, right? Like before Trevor Lawrence got hurt. So how did I remember his nickname, but not his full name? I'm really getting old.
He's the Prince.
I don't know. Trevor Lawrence. They were 8-3. Trevor Lawrence was crushing it, right? Then he gets injured, and then they just eat shit for the rest of the year. And I think you can't rule that out. And I think again, quarterback health seems to be like that's the one problem with this being such a quarterback central. It's always been the most important position, but when you make it even more so and everything's leaned on them, like it just seems like a team's playoff chances or going to the Super Bowl hinges on the health of protecting the QB. And now the meta seems to be that there's a lot more edge rushers than ever before, right? Pass rushing, there just seems to be a lot of depth in that position. In offensive linemen, it seems like it's really hard to get good O-lines or O-lines that can compete against these sort of things, especially with, so you're just having quarterbacks getting hit more, but you're also having when the healthy quarterbacks is running up scores, right? And, like that's the concern there. I think the Jaguars, like I have both them and the Texans winning 10 games. Like the Texans did get better on offense, and CJ Stroud's incredible, but I think the league now has a full season to download him. We have a healthy Trevor Lawrence. We have a healthy Anthony Richardson. The Colts, I have them at 8-9. I think this is like a pretty contested division other than the Titans. The Titans, like, what did they really do?
Over under 3 wins, 4 wins.
The shit out of Snead. I have them at 3, and maybe they'll get
okay.
Yeah. I have the Titans and the Giants as the lowest records. At 3 wins.
Really?
Yeah.
Let's move on to the NFC. Let's stay down south. Let's do the NASCAR division. Do we get a single 500 team out of that division, or are they going to continue to be trash?
Out of the South?
Yeah.
I think the Falcons, made a lot of moves. Getting the edge rusher from New England helps their defense. They're also in a division where they have the Panthers, right? That should be a free 2 games because the Panthers, I don't know if anyone has any faith in Bryce Young this year, even if they added stuff around him. And, like, again, they're not projected to win more than 6 games, the Panthers. And I think that's being generous. The Saints also underwhelming. Derek Carr seems to underperform. And, you know, I don't see them as like a 500 team, you know. And what's interesting is like a lot of people are down on the Bucks. You know, I think the Bucks are probably a 9-win team. Maybe they could win 10.
So do you think
they did win the division last year? But
do you
the
think
Falcons
9
now have
wins?
Kirk Cousins. Assuming here's the thing that's interesting about the Falcons, like they have Penix. I'm not big on their decision to draft Penix because like if you're drafting that guy, why even bother shelling out the money you did to Cousins, right?
Doesn't make sense.
And he's a 36-year-old quarterback with an Achilles tear, right? And what's insane to me is that, you know, like Aaron Rodgers is a 40-year-old quarterback with an Achilles tear, and he's gotten a lot of shit, and he should, right? Like there's a lot of bearishness on Rodgers for that reason, and there should be, right? But Cousins is not a mobile quarterback, right? He's a guy who he wins you games, but he doesn't win you the big ones, right? Like I feel like he never wins anything that meaningful. And then he's 36, torn Achilles, you know, like why is anyone bullish on that? Like it's certainly an improvement at quarterback, but like there is that injury risk. And so look, if Penix like steps up, if he gets hurt and Penix steps up, like at least they have that depth, but they still spent all this money in Cousins. And I'm like, in the long run, like why even bother paying for Cousins? But you know, like I think this is a good team that really was just short a quarterback in a division that's pretty weak. I don't know if the Bucks can replicate what they did, you know, last year. So I have the Falcons winning.
It's not setting the bar high though, is kind of the point that I was kind of trying to make. Like I think 8 and 9 might win that division is what I'm saying. Like, cause it's a pretty fucking weak division when you compare it to the other ones. I could see a 9 and 8 kind of situation, or, you know, like a 10 and 7, maybe for one of those teams. But yeah, I do think that is probably the trashiest division in that league. So I agree with most of what you're saying.
9 and 8 last year. You know, it's definitely, look, the Panthers suck, right? So, and like, let's get that out of the way. But, you know, I mean, it's like, if you compare them to the West, if you compare them to the NFC North, they suck, right? I think the NFC East, the Cowboys and Eagles are probably better. Let's do. If you're in the playoffs, you got a shot. It's an any given Sunday sort of thing, and I think that's the thinking behind the Falcons, just like just getting there, right? But I think it's the Falcons to lose, you know.
Okay.
But look, I don't think you should rule out the Bucks. You know, it could happen. But I have the Falcons winning that. And again, that's not really going against any trends there, but I think like it'll be closer than I think people realize. And you know, it'll be interesting to see how that quarterback situation plays out. That's the real story there, in my opinion, is like, is Cousins, you know, like why isn't Cousins getting this doubt that Rodgers is getting? And is it just because people hate Aaron Rodgers, or does that 4-0 make it? Because 36 is still fucking old, even by NFL standards, you know, and torn Achilles again. that is a significant injury. So
moving along, you mentioned the West. Let's do the West, and then the East, and then the North, and then we're going to move on to some reactionary type stuff. So we're going to kind of speed round this. Out West, is anybody taking the Niners down?
The only team that has a chance is the Rams, but they lost Aaron Donald. You know, like their offense when it was healthy was really good. Stafford's amazing, and again, when you have a quarterback that good. You have a wide receiver core to them. Even though Cooper Kupp's old, they're still deep. They had that Nakua guy who was just a total beast and was giving the Lions a hard time. Like the Rams have that kind of offense that they can kind of make up for it in whatever they've lost in Donald. And they did draft a younger guy. So they have like younger people. Aaron Donald's like a Hall of Fame, you know, caliber defensive player, just in any position, period. Right. So to lose that presence, you know, it'll be interesting, but you have a great coach in McVay, you know, like you have a team that is good, even if it takes a step back. And, you know, like they can definitely compete with the 49ers, but I think it's the 49ers division to lose. And I think they're just running it back this year. Like assuming Brandon Ayuk
that is the consensus right there, is exactly that. It's their division to lose.
Yeah.
And unless something goes catastrophically wrong, probably they're going to be in again.
Yeah, I mean that roster is stacked, right? Like that roster is so good. If Ayuk stays, it's like this is their last chance. And they were literally in overtime away from winning the Super Bowl. And like there's two ways to look at this, right? You can look at it as they You can look at it as they blew it against the Chiefs, or you can look at it as they got lucky to get to the Super Bowl because they had to make an insane comeback. You can blame the Lions for going for it on 4th down and not taking the points, right? Even though the Lions, like their 4th down conversion rate was something insane. I think it was like 80%. It was something, it's actually not that crazy when you think of how successful they were at it. But like, I probably would have taken the 3, it just psychologically in that moment, like you take the points, I feel like. But,
that was their identity.
That was very
coaches like that.
And the Packers also like, they also got lucky against the Packers too. I think people forget.
Let's move on. Let's move on to that. Let's move on to the North. I think
this is the best division in the NFC.
Yeah, I think the NFC North is the most interesting division and the best division in that conference as well. I think it's really interesting because you have the Lions, who are, of course, the upstart team. They're kind of the team the whole country was rooting for last year. Packers are the Packers. They always find ways to draft and develop like generational level QBs. And then, of course, you got, Vikings are always in it, and the Bears are starting to finally develop something too. So you really do have a lot of interesting storylines all in that one division. So where do you see this landing as of right now?
The Vikings are fucked, right? McCarthy's out for the year. I like Sam Darnold. I really hope he succeeds. I just don't see it happening. Dude has like one decent game as a backup, and it gets $10 million, to basically start. And we'll see. Maybe they can salvage him, and I hope to God they do. Right? Maybe it's like, because then it really is. It is a nice little indictment on the Jets if he thrives on the Vikings, and I'm all for it. I'm a Jets fan, but I fucking hate my organization so much. I'm a very self-loathing Jets fan.
I can't wait to have you on later in the year after like a couple of crushing losses when you've had a couple of drinks and just let you. I will give you the floor to just let loose for 15 solid minutes on your own.
I mean, the thing is, we deserve it. When it happens, I'm just being like, yeah, we deserve this, but I hate life right now, But back to the North, like the Vikings, I think are out of the picture. That's it. The Bears, look, they won 7 games with Justin Fields. And Caleb Williams looks like the real deal. Yeah. Is it really that crazy that they win 10 this year?
No, it's not. That's what I'm saying. Is that they're finally developing, but you still have the Packers and you still have the Lions. So it's actually really interesting to see what's going to happen there this year.
Yeah, I think this is very much like, look, I don't want to say he's going to have a year like CJ Stroud, but like maybe he's going to have a lot of road bumps and then really turned on the second half of the year like Jordan Love. It's just a matter of how he gets coached, but the talent's there. Like he still does a lot of backyard football stuff. And like, hopefully he takes less risk because he's going to be taking much harder hits now than he was in college. And, he does need to develop into that more traditional pocket passer, but like when the play falls apart, like this guy's amazing. Right. Look, leave it to Chicago. Chicago's just one of the teams where maybe they will just ruin this dude. They'll find a way. And so don't rule that out. But I think it's going to be a volatile year for the Bears where you're going to see this dude do some crazy shit. They have the misfortune of having the Lions and Packers in their division. And, I think like it's going to be some up and downs. I think they're going to be a fun team to watch. They can go 11 wins, but because I feel like the NFC is so uneven that like they could just miss the playoffs right at 11 just because like the Cowboys and Eagles could run the NFC East. You have the 49ers and Rams in the West, and then you have the Lions and Packers here, right? So it really just like it's really a shame they're in that division, but it's going to be the most fun division to watch. I feel like every divisional game other than the Vikings games are just going to be wild.
You make a good point.
Awesome offenses. Like the
you
Lions,
make a good point. We could see like a 12-win or heaven forbid a 13-win team actually miss the playoffs in the NFC.
They won't miss the playoffs. They would just get the wild card. There's no way a 12 or 13-win team, but like there's a fringe situation where an 11-win team could, but it's extremely unlikely. It would be like a 10-6 team before they went to
which happened to the Patriots one year, and it was just very funny.
It happened to the Giants too.
The Giants, yeah.
Tom Coughlin's speech was so fucking
actually
hilarious.
I am being a little overzealous by saying 13, but let's wrap this section of the show up now. We got to go to the East. It's Mike. It's gonna hurt because he is right. The Giants, I do think, are
they stink.
A 3 to 4 win team.
Yeah,
it
hurts, but I know. Sanders like drafted a fucking quarterback, who doesn't look. Yeah. And the Panthers will still be a negative winning team. Again, they'll find a way to ruin this kid like they ruined everyone. Cousins really is the biggest winner by leaving that organization. It was the greatest thing that ever happened to him. Meanwhile, they destroyed RG3. So like, don't
they really
rule out
did.
organizational incompetence, right? Like the
They have
Bears
new ownership
seem less
though now,
shitty
right?
than the Commanders to ruin quarterbacks, but it's just that's the thing is I hope like they do well. But like the Cowboys and Eagles are interesting because like they got good rosters, right? The Cowboys basically have the same team, assuming the CeeDee Lamb thing gets resolved, right? They're just running it back with this team. And Dak Prescott had his best year last year. He was an MVP candidate, and it's hilarious. I feel kind of bad for him, but it's also just hilarious because fuck Cowboy fans. That they just completely shit the bed in every conceivable way. Like it was such a collective failure against the Packers, and honestly, nothing would make me happier than the Cowboys just doing the same thing all over again. This is a team that beats the shit out of bad teams, and then when they have to play someone who can punch back, they're not so tough, right? Prescott, I just don't see him as like a top tier, even though he had a great season. Like this guy needs CeeDee Lamb. I just, I don't put him in the same tier as like Mahomes or Burrow or Lamar or Josh Allen.
Yeah,
right?
Doesn't he only have like one playoff win or something insane? But like he makes the playoffs almost every year.
I think it's
some
more of a Cowboys
crazy
thing
statistic,
too, right?
Yeah.
Like I think it's just like God giving the Cowboys the karma they deserve. There's something nice about the Cowboys just being perennial contenders and failing the minute they get to the playoffs. And I hope it stays that way. They can be like the Atlanta Braves, like in the 90s, so that would make me happy. Now the Eagles are interesting because like their defense, they got a new coordinator. It was Vic Fangio. I don't know. It might be a talent issue. I don't know how much of it is a coordinator issue. Their offensive line is still really good. We'll see. Like they got a new offensive coordinator. So it looks like Jalen Hertz still has a bad relationship with the head coach. Like it doesn't seem like things are great between him and Nick Sirianni. So Sirianni's on the hot seat. You got a quarterback that's probably only communicating with the offensive coordinator, which I guess in theory could be fine. But like, just like this,
it's not good.
They lost. They did lose Jason Kelce, right? So the line is good, but he's gone, and he was such an important presence on that team. Yeah. I could see Sirianni getting fired halfway through the season if things don't go according to plan. But the Eagles can score. If Jalen Hurts is the player he was 2 years ago, right? This is a team that can run it up. But their defense was just so horribly bad. And I don't know how much coaching can really change that. So I just can't put them over the Cowboys.
So you're going Cowboys for the East.
Yeah, I mean it's just Cowboys just because like they can beat the losers, right? They're good at beating up losers, and I feel like the Eagles they'll do some dumb shit against some shit team halfway through the season. It's hard to trust this team after as much as the Cowboys choked in the postseason, they still got there, right? The Eagles had like a pretty insane collapse, in the second half of the season. And like
you could make the case that was caused by
right? Like
you can make the case that the Jets started that downfall last year. You could make that you could actually make that case.
Because and that's also why I was bullish on the Jets. Like they got robbed against the Chiefs. They also could have been an 8-win team.
Oh, dude, that ref call.
The Texans.
They almost won that game. Yeah,
CJ Stroud. Right? Like this defense is so fucking good. And look, there is volatility between defenses year to year, but like you can't tell me as old and injured as Rodgers is, and we don't really know what to expect of the line. It will be better, but how much better? Like you can't tell me that this offense isn't significantly better without Zach Wilson, and at least they have a backup quarterback that like it's a very talented team. And because of the steps back, going back to that, I know that the Bills and the Finns took, I just like, it's weird that like the Jets, it's their division, in my opinion, even though the Bills have been the team to be and have the best quarterback in that division.
All right. So, you heard it here first, everybody. Those were the predictions going into the 2024.
Let's see about all the injuries 2 weeks later.
So, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
By the
next month,
half the guys you mentioned are all hurt. The trajectory changes.
Oh, and by the way, Lions over the Chiefs Super Bowl. That's my pick.
Okay.
And I'm sticking with
it. All right.
I love that. So that was actually, we got a good chunk out of that. So by the way, for those of you who are listening, which I know it isn't many of you, maybe a dozen of you or so, if you're listening on the podcast audio version, now is the time to switch over to the YouTube version because the rest of this will not be on the audio version because it will not make sense because the rest of this is going to be video reactionary content. So, Mike, you have a bunch of stuff for us to watch. I know this is the part where we like to screw around and watch videos and crack a little wise. So what do you got for us this week, Mike?
We got a lot. We got some fights. We got some ads. I got a clip from Fanatics Fest this weekend, which I have to say was great. I wish I could have spent more time there. I wanted to show more clips. I will show one clip. I actually stopped and I got to meet Keith McPherson from WFAN, which was cool.
Hell yeah. Love that guy.
He was recording. He was doing his show live from the place, and then we're sitting there watching. It's like a nice little group of us, and then somebody goes, "Up there, look up there, over there," and I look up, and this is what I see. Jay-Z is just hanging out. I mean, they had everybody there. That whole thing he's on is this big thing for his 40-40 club, and Jay-Z was there, Derek Jeter was there, Sabathia was there, a ton of what's his name? The wrestler.
Wasn't David Ortiz was there? Did he get booed? Please tell me he got booed in New York. That would.
I saw that like him and Jeter did a panel. There. I didn't see. I wasn't there for that part. But they had all kinds of baseball card vendors, all kinds of the NFL had a whole interactive thing, ton of stuff for kids. Batting cages, and they had something where you can with green screen imitate a batting stance, and they were letting people come out do WWE. When they come out to the music, their intro dances and stuff. It was a ton of athletes.
All right. What do you have anything else from there? Or
no, I mean it was just kind of I
like how you went to a sports festival and the thing you brought to our sports show
was Jay-Z.
Was Jay-Z.
I mean,
but he's always wearing a Yankee hat.
That's true.
That's true.
And he said he made the Yankee hat bigger than the Yankee game, which is fucking bullshit. I like that song, but I hate that line.
Well, because he means he travels around the country and the Yankees don't.
He travels around the world, really.
Yeah, but the Yankees have been world known. Like when people, if you ask anyone and anywhere else around the globe, to name a baseball team in America, everyone says the fucking Yankees, right?
Everybody.
Number 2 is going to be the Red Sox. It works like that.
No, I would honestly, I think the Dodgers are probably. I think the Dodgers is up there.
Yeah, too. I think with Asian countries, right? I think that's more the case, but. For piece of shit countries, definitely Red Sox, I would say. That's
for shithole countries, absolutely.
I don't know which countries those are, but your country's if that's what you thought of.
Mike, are we doing ads or brawls first? What do you want to do here?
Let's do a brawl. This is a good
brawl.
One.
We're doing a brawl. Okay, what year?
Yeah.
2005. This is Kyle Farnsworth versus Paul. Let's check.
And Farnsworth is like a trained fighter.
He's also
I had to go to the replay because the camera didn't cut to the fight exactly. So this is what happened when the camera was off. A WWE takedown by Farnsworth. And
that's UFC quality. There was nothing pro wrestling about that.
I mean, I gotta give credit to the guy in the Reds for having the balls to talk shit to Kyle Farnsworth in the first place, because that guy's huge. Yeah, that guy's huge, and you saw what he did. He just ran over, picked him up, and jacked him onto the ground like that. And that was amazing.
Yeah. I think Farnsworth actually knows how to fight too. I think he had some degree of training at that time.
He's a bodybuilder as well. In real life, now he's retired from baseball. He's huge. He's a huge guy.
That takedown is crazy. He hit him in the ribs. He probably knocked the wind out of that dude. Right?
And then he got a few swings on him when he had him on the ground too. That was
I mean, there's that guy off. That was just so clean. The takedown and Len. I would be shitting my pants if a dude. It doesn't matter if I'm 6 feet, right? It doesn't even matter if I'm pro ball because Farnsworth is still bigger, right?
Yeah.
And No, he definitely has that retard strength.
He's half laughing. He's like, yeah, the guy wants some of this. What's up? What's up, motherfucker? He was having fun with it.
Yeah. And God, now the coaches are getting. So I think that's Ray Knight, former Met, getting into it with the Cubs coaches.
That's the fight I want to see.
Dusty Baker. I can't see the back of the jersey. Dusty Baker always has sunglasses on, so I don't know what he looks like without sunglasses. Nice Reds jacket, by the way. And here's the replay. Throws inside.
That wasn't even that far inside, honestly.
Yeah, it's not like he did that on purpose. He's just a shitty pitcher.
Yeah,
right?
Farnsworth's known for having no control but a 200-mile-an-hour fastball. I mean, that's just
that's so clean, right? That's not like he's going for his legs. He caught him right under the ribs. That's a horrible feeling.
Is that Aaron Boone? 17?
To get lifted up off the
Barry
ground
Larkin.
and then thrown onto the ground by a dude that size. And by the way, the turf in the infield dirt, that's not like a soft landing, by the way.
No.
It doesn't matter.
Look at him laughing.
He's laughing.
And then look,
Jesus Christ.
It looks like Sonny Corleone in The Godfather.
Oh my God. I'm like expecting this dude to have his ear cut off.
Yeah. That's more blood than you
that's
usually
a 10 out of 10. I don't know if you guys rate these things, but like
we used to.
This is Farnsworth's most meaningful contribution to society, without a question. Right?
Just destroyed.
Like I forgive him for being a piece of shit relief pitcher just for this one act of violence alone. You know, like.
So we got. We'll move on to the next fight. This is shorter.
Brawls. All right.
This is actually a news clip. This is from 1982. This is Lionel Hollins versus Tree Rollins.
Why wasn't Farnsworth a fucking edge rusher in the NFL? I don't.
They could sign him. Yeah.
I mean, maybe he wasn't fast enough, but I think people would have the fear of God in them if he ran at them like that. So.
Maybe he wasn't fat enough to be a lineman. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what he could play football though, or he could have.
Yeah, you never know. Let's go to this fight, and we'll listen. There's audio for this because it's a news broadcast. So let's.
All right.
What happened? Lionel Hollins penetrating on Atlanta. Tree Rollins delivers the elbow, and Hollins is furious. He thinks the Tree elbowed him deliberately, so he comes in behind to throw a left-handed punch. But he broke a knuckle on his shooting hand. Nothing wrong with his legs, though, folks. Watch him clear out here.
He broke his knuckle.
Fortunately for Hollins, Rollins didn't catch him, but unfortunately for the Sixers, he broke the hand. There he is at this moment. He will not be able to play in.
What a dipshit.
Out for the year. He was out for the year. He's been a coach now. He coached with the Nets, I think, a lot of different teams. So
it didn't even look like he threw that hard of a punch, right?
Can you play that again? He looked like he tried to throw like a sucker.
What happened?
Elbow, he came down on his own wrist. That's what it looked like.
So it looks like Tree Rollins threw a forearm at him, and then Hollins like, "What are you doing, bro?" So
that wasn't on purpose. Yeah. So it was his elbow, but he did it kind of half-ass, and that's what happens when you're not. Also, I love
a much larger man.
I love the big hair. The early '80s got the afros. Yeah. Oh, that's terrific.
And Killer Hawks jerseys, by the way, those are pre-Dominique Wilkins. I didn't know.
And also look at the guys in the background on the bench with the blue on. They have the full fucking collars on those guys in the background. Look
Sixers.
At that.
Yeah.
I love
that's the full Sixers uniform. So that was
this guy definitely gets leveled Farnsworth style if that center catches him.
Yeah. There's some legs in the air, it looks like a logo. Yeah. Yeah. So that's this one. So that was good. We have, let's see. So we got a couple things. We got some Jets commercials.
We gotta do Jets commercials. We got Faisal here. We gotta do it.
Yeah. All right, let's go to it. Let's go to the first one. Here we go.
In 2009, we started something. In 2010, in our new stadium, we intend to finish it.
It's go time.
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 Call 800-469-JETS now for tickets.
The 50% reduced pricing really, it really just shows the quality,
The Jet. Listen, my father was a Jet fan, so I was a Giants fan, but I grew up in a Jet house. The Jets have been bad for so long that their old losing jerseys are now reminiscent and classic, and they brought them back, and they look good. I never thought I'd say that. So
Faisal, can you run me through the emotions of this ad, but especially at the end here when they have this shot with the high angle Sanchez shot?
I mean, first of all, Nacho is my dude for life. If you've ever watched this dude like in any interview, like the guy is charismatic as fuck. Like,
okay,
I forgive him for anything because he just seemed. This is like I feel like I would have fun drinking with this dude, especially like when we were younger. Not Sanchez, like definitely was a disappointment. But we've had worse quarter. If you think about it, like we've had bigger disasters in the history of this franchise, right?
And recently as well.
Yeah. The butt fumble is like the most embarrassing thing he did, but that's not even by far like Joe Namath is still the biggest embarrassment, despite being our Super Bowl winning.
Isn't
being
Sanchez
drunk
the
and
only
trying to
guy?
He's
see
just a whoremongering degenerate drunk, which is fine, except when you're being interviewed in the middle of a fucking game.
Right. And is,
I mean,
is
Yeah,
that
it's just
Mario
sexual
Batali?
harassment when you're being interviewed by Susie Colbert.
Isn't that Mario Batali, another creep who got canceled because he was a creep?
Oh,
So,
I have no idea. I mean, he
think
definitely
that
looks like sexual
50%
harassment
off,
material,
baby.
right?
So isn't Sanchez the only guy that actually took down the Patriots in the playoffs like 10 or 12 years ago or something?
Yeah,
like
it
that?
wasn't so
Two
much
title
him
games,
as much
right?
as the Jets defense. So in 2009 to 2010 season, the Jets
Bart
they made it
Scott.
to the AFC Championship twice.
Can't
So
wait. Bart Scott.
His rookie year, they made it. They beat they lost the Colts in the AFC Championship, but I believe they beat the Chargers. I forget the other team, but they didn't play the Pats in the postseason.
They beat the Raiders, or they lost to the Raiders, or I'm thinking that might have been a Parcells era. I get those mixed up.
I forget they beat a West Coast team, but they made it to the AFC Championship back-to-back years. The following year, they played the Pats, and remember this is when the Pats beat the shit out of them in New York, and like later in the season, right? They got destroyed, and they showed up in New England and soundly beat them, right? Like they just ran all over the Pats. They just out toughened them. Like Sanchez, look, he made some pretty big throws, but look, that team won in spite of him. As much as I love Mark Sanchez as a person, like that was one of the greatest defenses in like the last 15 years, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just like those Rex Ryan defenses were insane. They had good receivers that second year. They lost to the Steelers in the AFC Championship of the year, but them beating the Patriots was my Super Bowl, like in the divisional playoff.
We should admit it, yeah.
Right, that's like the closest thing to a Super Bowl I've ever experienced as a Jets fan. Otherwise, that's why I love the Giants, because they beat the Pats twice in the biggest moments, right? Like,
absolutely.
I think that's another reason
the Giants, except once every 4 years.
You know, you bring a good point. What I mentioned earlier, there's not as much animosity between those two teams. I think those two games have a lot to do with it, because everybody in New York, whether you wear blue or you wear green, was rooting for the New York team. Obviously, you're not going to be rooting,
Also, you just don't want any team to have an undefeated season, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the other thing as a policy, right? If the Jets, which will never happen, right, we're in that same position, I would expect everyone to root against us, right? Like, I just feel like, look, the Chiefs, like that's why it makes the Chiefs season so exciting, right? And I feel like I get the vibes that like it's gonna feel like an inevitable, kind of like the Pats winning the Super Bowl and going undefeated. And I just feel like what better team than the fucking Detroit Lions to fuck them in the biggest moment, just like how they fucked them last year in week 1, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
really the Chiefs fucked themselves. But how funny would it be if Harrison Butker misses a game-winning field goal or just a game-time field goal?
Yeah.
Like, and then he gets outed like a week later for being gay, right? He just like there's a video of him blowing dudes in a glory hole, and that would be a perfect story.
Just getting the train on him, just like one in the ass, one in the mouth, just like and he's anyway.
If Detroit just burns down.
Anyway,
I can't stand that. We got another Jet commercial.
We got more Jets. Let's go.
But it was bittersweet memories, right? Those were the best Jets teams ever. Were those commercials? Oh my God, Jack
Pennington, the man.
He actually might have been the best quarterback. It's him or Vinny, right?
It's not even an HDTV.
It's a better way to stay close to the Jets. Log on to NewYorkJets.com for post-game video, interviews, and other exclusive features directly from the players and coaches themselves.
Jets.com advertisement. This is so new. Look, there's not even HDTV yet. It's a regular.
The guy's got his tube TV.
This is like 97, 98.
It's either late 90s, early 2000s. Look at that web browser with the gray background.
And I love the Pennington in the bedroom. Like that dude's definitely beating off in front of that Pennington standing.
Yeah.
No, this guy's divorced for sure in this ad. 100%.
The commercial's HD, but the TV is not. Unless it's an early HD. I don't remember. This is dated. And they advertise for Jets.com. They just throw that in as a little chyron at the bottom now. You don't do a whole commercial for a website anymore. So, interesting. That was a good one. That was good.
That was a good one.
HTTP, not HTTPS. It's not secure.
So do we want to? I got a McEnroe, John McEnroe thing. We might save that. You want to save that because we got
do
OJ stuff.
Do the OJ
in 2 weeks, right? Like
Huh?
you should. U.S. Open's in 2 weeks. You should just do it then.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Save it.
Dude,
Yeah,
all right,
'cause
we're gonna close out.
Yeah.
We're gonna close
All
out on an OJ Simpson ad. Oh hell yeah, let's go.
Fuck yeah.
Well, it's great to be on vacation.
Yeah, and we never go on vacation without Hertz.
I wouldn't risk my vacation with an unreliable rental car company.
And Hertz affordable weekly rates save me money.
But people say Hertz is more reliable.
But now, Hertz costs less money.
Arnie, more reliable.
Less money,
Arnold, more reliable.
less money.
Hertz Affordable Florida, only $89 a week. Now the rent-a-car company that gives you more is less.
Less money.
Boy, they let anybody in this place.
Hertz, the #1 way to rent a car.
So was the Ford Bronco that he tried to get away in, was that a Hertz rental?
I hope so. I doubt it, but that'd be amazing if it was.
So you got the juice and Arnold Palmer sitting together. Get it? Okay.
Yeah,
that is pretty funny.
Truly amazing.
It's so we went through when OJ passed away a few months ago, and there's I didn't know this because obviously he's kind of before our time. This dude did like dozens and dozens of commercials in the 80s.
Oh yeah.
So there are tons of like
Hertz commercials. This is like one of the greatest running backs of all time.
Yeah.
This is like it's the equivalent to like if Shaq committed a heinous crime and was on the run. Like that's how big, think of your favorite beloved athlete. That's who OJ was, And
I like how it escalates here. Like a hate crime might happen, right off camera.
This is a guy where like interracial marriage was still frowned upon during his heyday, right? And like it was okay with OJ, right? It was okay that he was plowing white women left and right. That's how much like superstar privilege this dude had, or still had when he was tried for murder and getting away.
1984,
murdering a smoke show white woman, right?
Well, like the blondest, most Aryan-looking white lady.
Gives a shit about the waiter to this day, but
look at this, $89 a week to rent a little shitty car in Florida.
Thanks a lot, Joe Biden, fed inflation. Yeah,
$89 meant a lot more back in '84. So
that's true.
That was like lotto money he got right there.
And we were, that was an interesting time because actually, so I was born in '85. So like the inflationary shit we've gone through today, didn't happen in our lifetimes really, right? It actually was starting to like correct itself because they were hiking rates to deal with inflation like around that time. So people were bitching about inflation during OJ's time.
Oh yeah.
Which is absolutely crazy. That's like the last time we really had an inflationary crisis, and we'll see how this one plays out. But it was pretty bad during the 70s, like late 70s, early 80s. So it took a while to fix itself. But
I'm just trying to understand like this, wherever they are, everybody is just excited that they're there. This is real life. There would be security. There would be camera people getting punched in the face.
There would only be hot women around them, right?
Yeah, no,
everyone else would be boxed out. But
yeah. But look, everybody's getting up. He's like paying the server. He's standing up back there. Like, look, I got to go talk to OJ. You just take care of this. All right, see what. Yeah, 1984, different times.
Yeah.
So definitely a different time.
Or maybe that was just a bunch of racist white people that were outraged that there was a black guy in their country club.
Yeah, exactly.
In 1984, probably.
Who let him in, and why is he on this side of the bar? What the hell? Yeah.
Why is he talking to the ultimate white hero in Arnold Palmer, king of golf? So. Arnold Palmer in the juice.
Yeah. Wait, Jim Daly was the alcoholic, right? If you add booze to an Arnold Palmer, it becomes a Jim Daly.
Yeah, John Daly. John Daly, yeah.
John Daly. Yeah, whatever. I don't really know. Yeah. Outside of Tiger, I'm like, whatever.
Now it's just called Mike's Hard Iced Tea or something like that.
Mike's Tard Lemonade. So,
something like that.
I didn't know that shit still existed, but I saw I saw like a streamer with one in her hand, and I was like, wow, you were hot until I saw that. And that's just disgusting, right? Like I don't care if it's as a lemon taste. That was a vile substance when I was in high school.
I do like that. That's how Faisal. That's where he draws the line. He's like, you can have whatever opinions you want on the world at large, but whatever
you can have your right.
Liquor.
You can't have a Mike's Hard Lemonade. That's okay, ladies.
Yeah. What are you losing?
Oh man.
Longest show ever. We set a record today.
I had a lot of fun this week. I did. I think Faisal's going to be on our rotating cast of quote unquote experts we have on every now and then. I think this is a lot of fun. I had fun with this. This is good.
Okay, good.
And we
Otherwise,
got
you can
plenty
just
more.
edit out like the 25 minutes I'm talking and just do like 2 minutes, and you fix the show. So
trim it down.
Oh no, we got plenty more OJ ads for you next time you come on.
Like in the Simpsons, where they edited out Homer's like defense when he was accused of sexual harassment. You just do the same thing, and like you could see my dog like popping up in the background in different spots.
Listen, I got cut out of an episode of Center Stage with Michael Kay and Larry David, and I told everybody I was going to be in it, and I got to ask them a question, and they cut the whole thing out of the show. But you do see me in the audience every now and then. So it's show business, kid. No, we'll leave it in. I mean, we got a good breakdown of the season. This is like our NFL preview. I mean, I can't believe it's almost Labor Day. I'm not even.
I know, dude. Summer
always
flies by. Summer always
hold on to baseball, but yeah,
I fucking hate New York summer, so I'm happy it's over. Like now it's fall, football is on, you know, like, and I'm in sales, so most of my money just gets made this end of the year. So the last 4 months, I'm the busiest, but I'm also the drunkest, and you know,
and I look forward to doing some Sunday afternoon drunken games with you. By the way, this fall,
some 1 o'clock games. Like definitely, I might be in San Diego for. Oh no, the first kickoff is Thursday after Labor Day, so. Yeah, but like that following Sunday, oh my God, you know, like I know it's going to happen. There's going to be this optimism, this stupid fucking hope that the Jets are going to give me for like 6 or 7 games, right? That there's a chance. And then it's going to implode. Something so insane that's so Jets is going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen within 4 plays this year, but I just know it. And that 12 win number that I have is going to look so fucking stupid because you know, yes, on paper, the Jets are very talented, but this is a dysfunctional organization where Aaron Rodgers is running the show. I don't think Salah's in charge at all. Our owner is a dumb fucking idiot, you know? And yeah, it's
oh, no, he was in the UK as the ambassador.
Yeah, and his brother's a dipshit too, right? Yeah, so, you know, it's not like the team was better when Chris Johnson was in charge. So,
right.
Yeah, no, it's a dysfunctional. I guarantee you, like, if things look bad, if the Jets have like a losing record halfway through the season, Rodgers is going to throw Salah under the bus so fucking fast. You know, the signs are already showing, right?
After the whole Egypt getting fined for going to Egypt, I think he's in for revenge.
I could do a whole fucking hour on Aaron Rodgers. I really could.
Oh, so, you and I, we both could. All right, I think that is a great place to end. I look forward to doing some drunken Sunday afternoons with you, and I look forward to us peer pressuring Mike into drinking a light beer at one of these events.
Well, he's got to drive, you know. I mean, when we did that one,
I'm on more medicine
you had a good
now.
Time, Mike, because I felt bad.
Judy Z's. No, I'm used to that. Listen, I'm on.
Shout out to them. We'll definitely go there at least once.
Oh, they follow us.
They love us freaking out.
Yeah, they do love us. They're great.
Yeah. No, I'm on migraine medicine, anxiety medicine.
For those of you who made it this long, thank you, and we'll see you soon.
Goodbye. Don't buy a Cybertruck. They're for losers. Peace.